Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honor and a privilege that I rise today to speak about health care. As it's well documented, the health care that I just received here in Nova Scotia was first class, bar none. Our health care workers are the best health care workers in the province in Canada. The nurses at the ENT clinic in the Victoria Hospital, they were absolutely fabulous. Angela, Adelia, Jennifer, all those nurses that, when you're under 12.5-hour surgery and you wake up and you don't know where you're at, and they come to your room each and every day to make sure, that you're okay. We as elected officials are supposed to look after the frontline workers. We are supposed to look after them because as we get older and our families get older, who's going to look after them? But those people that are out there today are the ones that are going to be looking after us as we get older, as we're in long-term care, and we get sick as time goes by. Don't forget, they're the people that are going to be looking after you. So they're the ones that we should be looking after today. I wasn't going to get up and speak today, but I thought I'd get up after I saw my neighbor going in handcuffs in a paddy wagon on Hollis Street. My neighbor in Whitney Pier, Jason McLean. Now that brought back many memories of Sydney Steele, when Jason's great-grandfather, Palmer Margetti, and my grandfather, Donald Gosse, were going through the same struggles in Sydney when they had Gatling guns and they brought in the army. At that time, in the early 1900s, they brought in the army from Halifax and they sent the army up in the general office of Sydney Steele and put the Gatling guns up on the top of the general office. And they ran, we have what's called a Whitney Pier. It's called Bloody Sunday. So that brought back memories of having people run over Whitney Pier by the army, by the police, women having miscarriages, people on their way home from church getting severely beat up. When I saw that today, and I saw a police officer with his knee on Jason's head on the sidewalk, do they deserve that? No. Do they deserve that? And I heard people chanting outside, why, of all the people that were out there, why was African Nova Scotian singled out? I have no idea, but I heard them chanting that outside, So they picked him out of the crowd of hundreds of people that were protesting, and they handcuffed him, threw him to the ground, and put him on the ground. Mr. Speaker, I saw every bit of that myself, and I couldn't believe it happened. And take him away and charge him with assaulting a police officer. Out there with a peaceful demonstration that were blocking an automobile. It was like something you see in a movie with the black SUV and the tinted window. You know what I mean? It was like, holy God. Am I in the United States or am I home here in Nova Scotia? Are they running the, I understand that we have labor unrest, and I understand the importance of this bill to the healthcare people. But to actually handcuff a guy, throw him on the sidewalk, and put him in jail and charge him with assault of a police officer, I don't think that that's fair, Mr. Speaker. And hopefully the people up in the police station will have enough sense to let him go. And Mr. Speaker, I hope they tell him, you can go, just don't come back here for 7 days. You have that opportunity, Mr. Speaker, to bar somebody from 7 days. You have the opportunity to bar any member here and name them if they're not acting accordingly. I think we should all be acting accordingly, and I didn't think that was fair today to see that young man of African Nova Scotian descent being thrown on the ground and a knee put to his head, and handcuffed and thrown against the fence and put in a paddy wagon, over his belief that he's doing what he's doing, to believe in what his union, the NSCEU, believe is an attack on their members. Why are we here today? We're here today because the members of the NSCEU, Unifor, NS Nurses NU, and the QP local, all their members want to do is to be able to have the right to vote for what union they want to represent them. They want that right to vote, to say, okay, I want CUPE Local 755 in Sydney to represent me. No, CUPE is not going to represent the technicians or the blood work or the x-ray people anymore. It's going to be uniform. You can understand the animosity felt between healthcare workers when they don't understand who's going to represent them. All they want is to vote on who they can have represent them in this province. Who do they feel would best to represent them when they go to government looking for a contract? That's what that's all about, Mr. Speaker. They themselves understand the importance of a contract and what it means. You know, I've been on strike myself a number of occasions. Today reminded me back, I think it was in 1983, when they put a piece on the hospital in Sydney. And the steel workers were on strike, Local 1064. And I think the premier of the day at that time was Honest John Buchanan, the Honorable John Buchanan. He's a good man. And he was shown up there in a limousine. And to cut the ribbon to open the new piece on the city hospital. Well, the union got a bill for the limousine. I think it was around $3,000 worth of damage. Well, the steelworkers were jumping on the engine hood and the roof. I seen that with my own eyes, like I seen today. That wasn't bad, but I mean, the union got a bill for that. I mean, those things happen. I remember back in 1988, there was another strike. At that time, I think the Liberal Party was having a convention or something at Centre 200, and the steelworkers were on strike. And then the premier, I think it was 98. It was 98, not 88, and they were on strike. And the premier at the time was Russell McClellan. And the same thing. You know what Russell McClellan did? He went right out the doors of Centre 200 and went right into the crowd and said, what can I do for you? You know, what you want your say? Here I am. Now that's a man. He didn't get into no limousine like Air Force One. You know, he wasn't in a limousine like Air Force One and driven away in tinted windows. He went right out to the crowd. And he said to them, I was there. Here I am, have your say. That's a man. That's a man you can respect for going out for labor and saying to them, what can I do for you? Here I am. You know what? You respect a guy like that. You know, back home we say that that's a man that got a lot of kahuna. To walk outside and do that. I have respect for that man to this day for going outside and doing that. And all the steelworkers did too. So he went right out and told them, you know, there's no money in the province. The same thing we have today. There's no money in the province of Nova Scotia. We keep adding to the net. This government added to the net. The previous government added to the net. Something has to give sometime. And I understand that. But to go out there and face the people, go out there and face them and tell them, look, I was elected to come to this historic building to represent you. We all have constituents that are out there. Every riding here, all 51 ridings, has somebody out there on the picket line. You know, I don't know what the number was. Is it 14,000 workers? Or how many workers this would affect across the province, from Sydney to Yarmouth? You know, we have to respect their rights. You know, give them the opportunity to have a vote, to say, okay, I want Unifor to represent me. I want the NSNU to represent me. You know, everybody thinks that it's something like divide and conquer, that we have winners and losers in this battle. We have no winners and losers in this battle. Labor is under attack all across North America, from the United States right through Canada. All we have to look at is our door-to-door delivery for Canada Post. All we have to look at is Veterans Affairs, federally. You know, unions are under attack for what they try to do. And I have great respect for unions. I'm a third-generation steelworker, and my son is in the union. 4 generations. You know, but, Mr. Speaker, we're all here to do the right thing, is to make sure that we listen. So I'd ask any member elected here to speak to the people in CUPE, Unifor, NSNU, NSTU. Please take time to speak to them. Ask them what their concerns are, so you'll have a better idea to know what's affecting them. Why are they out here? Why are they so afraid? They're afraid because their rights as a bargaining unit is being taken away, Mr. Speaker. And there's nothing worse than that, than having your rights taken away. Back when I still have the contract in my office, the last contract with Sydney Steel. And Sydney Steel, Local 1064, was then broken up into 10 different unions. It then became the credit union, it became the cleaning staff. So that union was gone. But in the history of that union, they paved the way for what we see here today, to have people have the right to stand up and say, I want to choose myself who I want to vote for. The way the people go to the ballot box here in Nova Scotia, when they walk into the riding of Sydney-Whitney Pier and they say, who am I going to vote for? That's all the people want to know is a choice. They had 3 good candidates to vote for. They have 4 good unions. It's the same thing. When you're in an election, it's a democratic process to have the right to choose who to vote for. That's all these people out here want, is the right to choose who to vote for. I know my colleague from the Waterford, the honourable member from Cape Breton Centre, is the son of a coal miner. I'm the son of a steel worker. So we know what it's like to see labour unrest and pave the way for many of the benefits that we see today, like health care, pensions, benefits, a 40-hour work week. My colleague from Chorrell, Bible Hill, Salmon River, there might be one more in there I missed. Millbrook, that's it. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker. But realize that, yes, we do have a holiday, Davis Day holiday. When I drive home here on the weekends back to Cape Breton from the legislature, what do I drive on? What highway? The 104. What's that called? That's called the Memorial Highway, the Miners Memorial Highway. Why is that called the Miners Memorial Highway? From the sacrifices that the miners came through to represent their people, the United Mine Workers of America, UMW, to represent the fight and the struggle that they had to get fair wages, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we're all here for the same reason. We're here to listen to the people that sent us here. So I ask anybody that's here, please speak to any union member. I ask all the union members to send an email to everybody. And I'm not going to do what I did the last time I stood here and name every address. But I ask them to please send an email telling us, what their concerns are, why they're here. We know why they're here. But say that, let us go forward now to law amendments when we will have a first-hand look from the union leaders, from the nurses, that are out there that will be coming to law amendments to tell us what is wrong with this bill, or what amendments can be put in here. What can we do as MLAs to make this a better piece of legislation? Right now, everybody, there's a lot of tension. When you've got people going in handcuffs, there's a lot of tension going on. I was sad to see that today. I hope his mother, Sandra, at home is doing okay. She is an elected official with the Cape Breton Region Victoria School Board. To see her son go in handcuffs, Sandra Marchetti, Jason's mother, and his grandfather, Stan Marchetti, who's a senior in my riding, to watch his grandson go in handcuffs and think of all the turmoil that we saw back in Bloody Sunday in Whitney Pier, to see a child from that community and a man getting arrested. It's a sad day in Nova Scotia. I will always remember September the 30th as I watched my neighbor and my friend go in handcuffs in a paddy wagon here in Halifax over him trying to get people to understand. All they want is to be able to have the right to vote, to decide what union will represent them in negotiations against government. That's a simple thing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will take my place shortly, but I think of all unions in this province, Mr. Speaker. Right? What unions have done over the last 100 years for their workers and what they continue to do for their workers, Mr. Speaker. We as a society and we as elected officials must do better to make sure that workers' rights are protected, to make sure that the frontline workers, who I dearly love now, by the way, it's not that I didn't before. I have a real appreciation, you know, for the doctors, the nurses, the speech pathologists, the dentists. Boy. Oh, by the way, Mr. Speaker, you're going to fix my voice. So let us leave here today in peace. Let us think about what happened today. Let us think about our members here on all sides of the House. And let's do the right thing. Thank you.